Hi, my name is Steve Sladaritz, and I'm an acting improviser. And I think it's time for a cup of coffee. So it's coffee time. That's great. And today we're going to talk about how to start acting with improv, which is how I did it, essentially. Let me just put this down. Why improv, though? Why improv? And the reason that I have to say that is because I prepared a single note card for myself, and on it I wrote why improv as the opener for this. And I've got a handful of blank note cards that I will be filling out as I go along, and I'm going to see how that actually works as a way to plan. It might work, then again it might not. When I first decided to be an actor, I did what I advise everybody to do. I went out and I started to find all of the things that I could learn to make myself get closer to understanding what it meant that I was going to be an actor. What did the career field look like? What did competition look like? What did success look like? What did a day in the life of an actor look like? And what do you have to do to succeed in it? And that's something that you can't just find sitting on your couch unless you have a book. And then you can start getting a little bit closer. One of the first books I picked up when I started down this path was called Acting for a Living by Roy McCreary. That book was such a great first step for me because it was full of the reality of his life as an actor, how he started in a small market like I am. And what are some of the important steps and things that you need along the way in order to start making some success of it? I'm reading Acting for a Living, which is how to act outside of Hollywood, which is where I am. I wanted to read these passages that actually struck me as very important and were the impetus for me to start this path. Improv training is all about teaching you how to listen, live in the moment, and react honestly. It will also teach you how to bring more drama into a scene. It really is vital training for any actor now more than ever. But the next one right here is trust me. If you only have one form of training on your resume, it needs to be comedy improv. Roy McCreary is the reason that I started doing improv before I started doing anything else. But this is what happened to me next. I had to find training, right? So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the note that I just took, which is training. And training was a very important thing because it always is, and I think it always will be. We always have something to learn. We always have more to learn. And we always have things to learn from people where we don't even really expect it. When you're first starting out, find yourself some experts. Find yourself some people who know what's going on and who can help you down this path. I wanted to first find out what was available in my own hometown, right? Because our own hometown is one of our best resources because it's where we're going to live and work anyway. The one that I ended up landing on was called Improv Colorado, and the director is Scott Nolan. So of course I bought another book on Kindle, and I started reading about improvisation and trying to wrap my head around what it was going to mean once I started getting into this thing. And then Scott called me one day, and he said, listen, I wonder if you'd be interested in auditioning for Improv Colorado. We're going to be short a person soon, and we need to fill out our ranks just a smidge. So I said, yes, of course I will. And I will be there on Friday, which might or might not have actually been the day. And we played games for an hour. Was a little bit nervous, but I stepped out and I took chances and I did the goofy crap that I do all the time every day because that's the kind of person that I am. And then I went away, and that was the very first time I actually auditioned for anything. I eventually got a call. I got an email from Scott that invited me to be a part of the team, and that was me on my way. So what did happen next? Through my troupe, one of the members was also connected to one of the local theater groups, and they had a hole in one of their Shakespeare productions that was coming up that they needed one of the more or less background actors. I mean, you have lines, and they are Shakespearean lines, which are complex lines to begin with. No matter how small the role is, Shakespeare can be interesting. As I started, I started out as one of the guards, and then I eventually picked up 2 or 3 other small roles within the same production because we didn't have tons of people, we just had tons of roles to fill. So I played, I think in the end, 3 different characters in this. As a background fill actor, I was the churlish priest, which is one of my favorites. I love that I'm still remembered as the churlish priest. I was one of the guards at the beginning. I was, wow, I don't know. I can't even remember anymore because I think I went through about 6 parts before I settled on the ones, we settled on the ones that I was actually going to do for the production. It just progressively grew. And the next thing that happened to me after we finished this was Hamlet, by the way, in case you haven't figured out from the churlish priest. One of the next things that happened after that was the same theater decided that they were, or maybe they've been planning it a long time, that they were going to do a play which was based on Sherlock Holmes. Now, I'm a Sherlock Holmes fan, especially now, more so than I ever was before. But I always liked Sherlock Holmes. It was kind of a cool thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go audition because I think I could pull off Watson. I think I could make a decent Watson. So I am going to go audition for this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my chance. I'm going to take my chance. Yes. Whew. Okay. So one of the other things that I learned in improv is this next note. Take chances. Take that step. Be fearless. No matter how terrifying it is. It came down at the end that I was offered the role of Mr. Sherlock Holmes. And we ran for 3 weeks and we sold out shows and we loved every minute of it and were heartbroken when it was over because I think that's what happens at the end of any short run of a really fun play to do with, family that you build. But what about improv? What about improv? Steve, why is improv so important to all of this? Everybody improvises every day because you never know when you wake up in the morning what is going to happen next. You can't plan every aspect and element of your day, even if you know that I am going to go to work from 7:30 to 4:30 and I am going to do my job and I'm an IT guy, so I'm going to work on computers and it's Monday, so I'm going to do all the audit reviews and I'm going to pull up the antivirus updates and I'm going to push those onto the system and everything is going to be perfect. But what I can't do is tell you what every other wild card in that building is going to do, and that's every person who's there. Who's going to come talk to me? Who's going to have something for me? Who's going to have a question? Who's going to want to share something important with me? You don't know. And no matter what else you do, you can't plan it, so you improvise. Now, some of us are better at it than others, even in our daily lives. Because some of us are so self-absorbed, we don't really listen until it's our turn to talk, and that's what we are listening for. Those people are not the ones that you really want to share things with anyway. You know they're not engaged. You know they're not hearing you. And you know that when they answer, their answer is self-serving. Their response is based on something that they want, not what you want. Now, this is a person who you probably don't go out of your way to connect with. Now, in improvisation, what that means is this person on stage is not a person that you want to go play with. I am not excited about stepping into a scene with somebody who I know is only going to be out there to serve his own agenda or her own agenda. And guess what? See, the audience doesn't want to see that either. They don't want to see 2 people at odds with each other, telling 2 different stories and not paying attention and maybe not connected at all because there's nothing for them to hold on to. Improvisation on stage in front of an audience is theater, yes? Because you have person A come up, talk to person B, and they talk to each other and there is a scene, which means there is a relationship and there is something that one wants from the other and they're trying to figure out how to get to that. And we get to watch that, just like theater. So, when you do improv and you're doing scenes with people, you're practicing theater without a script. And you're practicing it the way you do your life, where you have to listen and figure out what comes next, and then react honestly and genuinely and truthfully to that. So that is how it makes us better actors. That's how it teaches us to act. Everything that we do every day, starts us on this path. We get up and we learn by listening and paying attention, and we deal with people by being honest with them, I hope, and being genuine with them on our best days, and by connecting to them every time that we have an opportunity, which is how it should be. Improvisation takes that life skill and puts it on stage. Puts it on stage in front of other people. And now we're doing it not just for ourselves and for our daily lives, we're doing it for other people. But what we get to find in comedic improv is really we get to explore the absurdity of life and the things that we're doing. So when we say yes and we build our environment and we move to if then and we start heightening the things that are going on, and that's how we do it. When we find more levels of absurdity and reasoning and we justify the hell out of all the things that we do, and that's part of the fun of it. In stories that are scripted for us, we already have all of that put down, but we get to justify everything. You see, improv teaches us skills that carry over into theater. Improv also teaches us skills that carry over into life. Improv teaches us to listen and to respond genuinely and honestly to the people who are talking to us and who are communicating with us. And communication only works when it's two ways, which means that if somebody is talking to me, we can't communicate unless I listen, and then I respond genuinely, and they listen to that, and then they respond genuinely to me. My card now is wrap it up, because I realize this is going a little bit long, and I need to actually get to the point where we can stop, and we can sort of sit back and think about what it is that we talked about, and kind of put this into the nutshell. How do you start acting through improv? Well, first you acknowledge that improv is acting. But improv is acting in the no-net kind of a way, where you don't have anything to fall back on, the scripted word. You have to figure all that out as you go. But the beauty of figuring that all out as you go is that you have to listen. So you learn to listen. Our senses are amazing things, and every one of them can be used to get information and communicate with somebody. So pay attention to all of those when you're communicating with somebody. Engage everything you can. Listen with intention. Improv will teach you to listen with intention, and then it'll teach you to respond honestly to what you just heard. Sometimes, not all the time, actors will get an idea in their head how they want something to go. They plan their words. They know exactly what their words are, but they already know their beats, and they're going to be angry here, and they're going to start feeling a little reluctant here, and then they're going to start regretting some of the choices that they've made here, and they're going to find a peaceful place here, and maybe a little bit of joy, and end it on a high point with a laugh. Ha ha ha! It's going to be great. Oh, look at the journey that I've taken. I have an arc. I have an arc in my scene. And that's great if you're in a monologue. But if you're in a scene with another person and you let that arc rule your life, what you do is you disconnect yourself from the other character in the scene, the other person. There's no joining in this story. There's no point where they come together and they tell the same story. And see, that's what we do in improv. We come together and we tell the same story. So we take that skill to acting, and we learn how to take this and these words, and listen to each other and respond to each other until we're both in the same scene telling the same story. Improv helps you build as an actor. Remember, every improviser is an actor, and not every actor is an improviser. Thank you for joining me for my coffee today. I know you didn't see me drink a lot of it, but I did have some coffee today. And I did get an opportunity to talk to you about something very, very important to me, and something that's been in my heart for a long time now, which is improv. Since I started in 2013, improv was my first step. And I encourage everyone to make that their first step as they start traveling down this path. Now, if you've already taken your first step and you're already acting, don't discount improv as a valuable tool for you, okay? This is something that you can use, and it's a very important tool. Please give me a thumbs up and a like if this is something that you enjoyed. Go ahead and feel free to subscribe too, because that way I'll know that this is something that's going to be of value to you, and I think that's always one of the most important things that I can do. I'll see you next Sunday.